because at that moment in my life, I thought that I was never going to be able to be in a long-term relationship because I was always going to need the other gender.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their fascinating stories. We always strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy and positive approach to non-monogamy.
However, everyone approaches this a little differently, and at its core, our show is about hearing and learning from different experiences and approaches people have. With that in mind, it's important to remember that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily represent those of our own.
It's also important to remember that we aren't doctors or therapists and that we produce this show for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on this show.
We should also let you know that this podcast will hopefully include some explicit language. So, if that kind of thing offends you, you should probably keep listening until it no longer does. If you're under 18, we'd suggest finding a different show or gather up your parents and listen as a family. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 40. Woo woo!
One better than 3D. What do you think?
No.
I've been planning that all day.
I know you have. Anyway, we're Finn and Emma.
It's two better than 2D.
Okay. I'm going to move on.
That's a flat joke.
It is kind of, oh my gosh.
Yes.
No. You've been thinking about that the whole time.
No, that part just came to me.
Yeah. Anyway, today we have a, I think, pretty emotional interview with Mila, and she, actually, English is not her second.
It is her second language.
English is not her first language, and so there's a few points you might notice that she's trying to think of a word, and we help her out. And please be patient. I think overall it is an amazing interview, and but I just wanted to point out that the English was not her first language, and
I think it's fair to say she did better than any of us would have done trying to do an interview
in any other language. Yeah,
so
100%. She's amazing.
So cool your jets, folks. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And also one other disclaimer, and I think she mentions this. I can't remember if it's on or off recording, but she did get consent from her partner to share this story.
It's on recording.
It is on recording. Yeah. So redundant.
It's at the end.
Little bit of redundancy here. But nevertheless, if you're thinking, wow, this is deep, but yeah, she did get permission. Her partner did not want to come on, but she has permission to share the story.
Yes.
Next up, we've got
us rambling for a few more minutes?
Nah, not too many. The old Cassidy, what's new? Something new big.
Yeah. Wow.
Something
good
new,
English.
Something new big.
Is English your second language?
It's my third.
Whoa. Something I didn't know about you. Anyway, we have Cassidy we have 6-month free trial for anyone who leaves us a review or signs up.
You don't have to do any of that anymore.
I was just saying, signs up through our link.
You said review. All you got to do...
Well, they can also leave us a review.
But they don't have to anymore. They just have to go to the website, leave us a click.
Oh, this is bad today.
Leave us a click on the link.
Leave us a click.
Sign up through our website. You get 6 months free for the elite membership. We're just trying to, we got them to agree to this a couple weeks ago. The reason being, we just want to get more people on there and using it. And yeah, so do that. Do that now. The other one is STD check. If you use the links on our website, you save $10. You can go get yourself tested. It's super easy. It's super fast. It's super awesome. And we encourage it. And it helps support the show.
And little teaser, we have a fun announcement coming up with that at the beginning of the year.
Yes. Something big coming. Something brewing.
Yeah.
One other quick thing. We just finished literally minutes ago recording an awesome, super fun Christmas episode. If you don't celebrate Christmas, that's fine. It's a whatever you celebrate episode.
It will be released on December 25th, but not on our podcast.
Yeah, it's a pre-Boxing Day episode. And yeah, it's just a fun bunch of rambling. We tell a bunch of funny stories.
You didn't tell them who it was with yet.
With the Bedhoppers, a podcast out of the Great Britain.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It
will be released on their podcast.
Their show, so check them out. It'll be December 25th. It was just a lot of fun. So go over there, check that out. And then, should we tell them where our website is real quick and then go to the website?
Yeah, now that we've been rambling for 4 minutes. Anyway, you can find us at normalizingnonmonogamy.com or under Twitter or Casty under the screen name NNM Podcast. That's not M&M, it's NNM.
And we haven't been drinking wine tonight. Maybe a little bit.
Anyway, please enjoy this interview.
Yeah, it's
Mila
a wonderful
is amazing.
Interview. Yeah, and
we love talking to her.
We will see you in T- some minutes.
Gosh.
Well, thank you, Mila, for joining us all the way from Barcelona.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, we're super excited that you reached out. Your story is pretty incredible, and so we were been like chomping at the bit, super excited to get on here and talk to you for a while now. So happy to finally be doing it.
Thank you, guys. I'm really happy to be here. I'm also very excited to meet you both and have this conversation together.
Yeah. So one of the things in your email to us that you mentioned is that you've been, in your words, kinky or exploring alternative relationship styles since very, very early on. Before we get into that, do you mind maybe just sharing with people a little bit about who you are and just some background on yourself so people have kind of a picture of who we're talking to?
Sure. So my name is Mila. I'm 29. I've been married for 6 years now in a monogamous relationship with this person, my wife. Let's call her. She's more into like some gender identity things, so she would be called mostly like non-binary. I've been previously to my marriage, I've been exploring sexuality in different ways since I was very, very young. I'm from South America and I was raised in Argentina. I live in Barcelona for 8 years now. So my background is a little bit different in a ways that, you know, South America in general, it's a little bit more conservative in, you know, especially when I was growing up, like without globalization and internet and all these things. So I think that's important to know for where I'm come from. As you might expect, also English is not my native language, so I apologize in advance if I make any mistakes. I'll try to correct them.
Yeah, well, we apologize if we make any mistakes too, because
we make mistakes.
We do it as well, so you don't need to apologize for that at all.
No, you sound great.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, right now I'm still married.
And do you and your wife have any kids? I know we just talked about off the recording that you just adopted a cat that's currently in heat, so we might hear that in the background. But...
Yes, we don't have any kids. We just adopted a small baby cat, and she's having her first ovulation. She's very premature. We weren't expecting that this week. So yeah, you might just, to set the mood up, you might hear a horny cat on the back.
Perfect.
There's always some fun background noises in our interviews, so I think that's fine.
So do you mind taking us back to the beginning when you started exploring, whether it was non-monogamy or just alternative relationship styles, and maybe how you got started and what that looked like?
Sure. So I basically started after my first period when I was like very young, like a year after that, I said like, I'm ready. I'm just like, I want to fuck. So I was always like very horny. And so I have my first experience with a boy, like traditional ways. And maybe like less than a year after that, I had my first experience with a girl. So
this must have been like when you were 15 years old?
I was, let's say, 13 and 14.
Okay.
So 13 with a guy, 14 with a girl. So basically like bisexual or pansexual. I think that's the new word about when you don't specifically like one gender and you don't believe in gender binary thing.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
So yeah, I would be pansexual. But so in my head, when I was like very young, I was always very confident about it. So it was never a question for me whether I like boys and girls and how I like them. So it was like just an adventure. And sex in general and my sexuality, it was an adventure to me to explore and to, discover yourself in an intimate relationship with somebody else. So I was always, seeking for new experiences. And one of my first boyfriends, I was like also very young, like 15. I was like, okay, I have a threesome. So we went and, looked for another girl to have a threesome with. We ended up like being super messed up because, I was very confident about it and very like forward to it, and my boyfriend too, but we were also in a relationship, but I was like very confident about my sexuality, and I think the other girl wasn't that much, which is completely normal if you're 15. So she was like, maybe I don't feel too comfortable, so it didn't happen completely. We stopped it. So I remember that first experience, waking up the following day feeling like very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Conflict. Yeah.
Sure.
So I remember waking up and just going away, like leaving the house and go and talk to one of my older friends about like this jealousy and insecurity that after that first experience happened. So then I decided to have another threesome with some older, like also teenagers, but a little bit older.
So was there jealousy in that first threesome with you and your boyfriend? Did you guys experience jealousy, but like either one of you, or was it mostly issues with the other woman?
No, I think that first experience was like, seeing for the first time, like breaking that rule of seeing someone that you should be together with, like in a very property way, like this is my boyfriend, he shouldn't kiss other girls. So, that was like visually, and all the entire situation was like really, strong to me. Mm-hmm. So it was like the first time that I see it, and all these fears came up when, sure. Because you are raised in a specific way, in a monogamous way, like man and wife are together and they belong to each other and they shouldn't be with anyone else ever,
right?
For life. So breaking that, deconstruct that picture was like very graphic and strong. Yeah. So when I woke up the following day, it's not that I didn't enjoy it while it was happening, but when I woke up the following day, I was like super afraid about what's happening. So I just,
You're also a teenager and trying to figure out just being a teenager too. There's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, definitely. But then I wasn't satisfied with that not so good experience. So I was seeing this older guy and a friend of mine too. So let's say, okay, let's just have a threesome together. And even if it was better technically, like the action, it was better lead, and the flow of the situation was better, definitely. Everything that should happen happened. It was not a very satisfying experience, because the other girl wasn't really sure that she liked girls too. So she was aimed just for the kinky part of it, or just because just to be with the other guy. So for me, like never questioning myself if I like boys or girls or anything. I was just, into it. It was like, okay, we're going to fuck this, do it all the way. It's not like, oh, maybe I'm, a little bit shy or I shouldn't do that. My attitude was like, okay, let's do it. And if I'm not comfortable with it, I will stop. But I'm not going to, maybe not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that wasn't also the best experience, but it's just to figure out how we can relate to each other differently and the different ways of having sex and connections with other people, like being naked and enjoy yourself and, discover different things.
And was that the same boyfriend, or did you have multiple boyfriends and this was a different one with a different woman?
No, this was a different one. Like teenager relationships are like, very elusive in general.
Mm-hmm. Fluid, yep.
Yeah, are committed. 100%. So then I was in a couple of years later, I was in a more serious relationship with a guy who was, I think it would be like my first serious relationship that lasted for a couple of years. And he was like very macho, possessive kind of way, like you are my girl and everything. So at that point, I wasn't like, because I never asked myself, bisexual or pansexual. Like I just like people, and if I want to fuck them, I will do it. Like if they agree, of course. So I just like this guy, and he liked me, and I was never questioning specifically because this was like 15 years ago, and polyamory wasn't like a thing or a very not a very common one. And me being from small city in South America, it's not like you live in a metropolitan city that you have different influences. So it wasn't a thing, but I always wanted to try different things and different type of people. And so because this was very traditional guy, he was also influenced, I think, by the lesbian porn kind of thing, that it even though you're like very possessive and very monogamous, like, oh, two girls having sex is hot. So he said, like, yeah, let's have a threesome. And I remember I think it was one of your first guests that said that had this aha moment.
Yes.
When she said, like, oh my God, this is amazing. So it finally happened. So this was like the third time, and it really happened, and it was very, very enjoyable. And I think because all three of us were like very comfortable with each other and knowing, like, very confident that we all wanted to do it. And it was amazing. And I remember waking up the next day and feeling completely different, like just going through a different level. And also in my relationship with my boyfriend, to share this intimate moment and not feeling jealous. And, it was like a relief inside of me. So, yeah, after that, I tried some different relationships. When he and I broke up, I was like very exhausted about the monogamous relationship, possessiveness, and all this insecurity of being.
Right.
So I decided to take a break from it all until I met this guy who introduced himself, and he said, I'm polyamory. And I was like, what is that? Like,
and about how old were you at this point?
I was like 19, 20.
Okay.
I was starting college.
And so after you had, just sorry to interrupt, but then after you had the first good experience with the threesome, did you and that boyfriend continue to have experiences together with other women, or was it sort of just that one time and then it just kind of never happened again?
We talked about it, but the thing is, like, it took us like 2 years after being in a relationship together to actually, meet the right person, or, just, find someone that we liked and that she liked us back. yet again, like when this happened a lot of time ago, and I have a very, let's say, vanilla world, or, this wasn't like gay community or LGBT community going on, and all the girls that I wanted to fuck, and the different people that I wanted to fuck, because we were teenagers, and so much people was like, yeah, I'll do it if I'm drunk, but I don't really like girls, so I'm not gonna eat your pussy or something. And I was like, man, I want to eat your pussy, I want to do it. So people is really insecure at that age, but I was like super confident about it, and it was difficult for us to find someone our age who was willing to do it, like very confident and secure about their sexuality too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes total sense. I mean, when we started, we were 19 and 20 or so, and it was hard enough for us to find, it's still hard for us to find people our age sometimes. So
yeah,
trying to find when you're 16, 17, 18,
it's hard. Yeah.
It's very hard.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. Have you always been, like, growing up, a very confident person? Like, not many people are that confident in their sexuality and knowing what they want at that age. Is that something you just grew up with, and that's part of who you are?
Yeah, I think it was. I don't know. For me, it was very natural. So I think it was. Yeah. Like, it's not that I was raised in a very, open-minded family. Like my mom and dad, they are really cool, and they've been separated forever. So each of them, they have their relationship. So I grew up, my mom being in a, long-term relationship with this guy, but my dad, on the other hand, he also had like different relationship with other women, and they were like really cool. So I had like a different influence in that aspect. So I didn't grow up into a traditional mom, dad, Christian, or very religious family, but it wasn't specifically open-minded, or I had like a mindset of my own about it.
Yeah,
it was just came natural to me. I had my first period, my hormones changed, and I was like, I want to fuck, and I want to fuck with people and try different things, and it was never a question to me to think about being gay or being lesbian or being straight or being, it was never a question. It just, happened.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. And so when you were 19, you met somebody who was polyamorous, and that was your first exposure to that word and to what that world looks like.
Yes. Yeah, so the thing is, we were all like in the same group of people. So this is a city, but it's small. So if you like doing certain things, certain, people that you see, you end up, everyone knows everyone, it's like a small city. So we were in the same group of friends. So I remember hitting on him, and he said, like, because he knew my ex-boyfriend and that I was, in that relationship, like a very traditional, let's say, relationship. So when I was hitting on him, he said, like, wait, I don't want to disappoint you. This is who I am. I can't commit to monogamy or anything. And I was like, no, that's why I like you. Like, yeah, right. I know. Let's do it. So we started seeing each other, and it started being more emotionally connected and sexually connected. And at the same time, we had a very free space to fuck other people and be with other people and have maybe an alternative relationship. I wasn't having like emotional, intimate relationships, but I was, having sex with other people occasionally. And he was, seeing this other girl that I knew about, and that was fine. But I knew that girl, and he said the same thing to her, like, I'm not going to be monogamous with you. And she knew that, and I knew that. I was perfectly fine. But at a certain point, I knew about her. I knew who she was, and I really liked that girl. Like, we were starting to be friends. Mm-hmm. So at a certain point, I said, like, hey, this girl doesn't know that I'm that girl that you are with. So I think that you should really tell her, because we having our friendship here that is growing. We're not like super intimate, but I'm really fan of her. So maybe she should know, because it's not the point about polyamory to be, secretive about it. And so after he did, everything blew up in our faces because the entire, everyone find out. And our community, our immediate friends, they were very not understanding what was going on. So we were very, very, very judged about it.
Huh.
And
so did you start having a relationship with her, or was it just because it became more open and the three of you were sort of known to be together? Is that what caused the problem?
Okay. I think I didn't explain myself correctly. So me and him, we had a relationship, an open relationship, and he had an open relationship with her.
Correct. Yep.
I met her because of common friends in common for our, the places we go and the people we see. So we knew each other and we started to be friends. We were in a relationship.
And you knew that he was dating her?
Yes.
But she didn't know that you were dating him?
No, she didn't know that I was the girl that he was with.
Okay.
So when she found out that I was the girl that he was with, she was very overwhelmed about the entire situation. I think she wasn't ready for it, maybe. Maybe, there's part of secrecy that wasn't properly managed. So that teach us all a very strong lesson about how to deal with it.
And that's how it got out to your community of friends, and then the three of you were noted. Yeah, you were seen as being in not monogamous relationships, and it went from there.
Yeah, exactly. So that was very unfortunate. And at the moment, I remember that I didn't understand why people were so freaked out about it. I didn't understand why our friends or our, the people we knew were so freaked out about the fact that we were fucking each other and they were fucking each other, and who cares who I fuck, But eventually I find out that all these conversations and topics for other people, because I was very open about it and very confident about it, for me, it was never a question. So when I was growing up, I thought that it was the same for most of the people. And then I find out that most of the people are very, they have a lot of struggles dealing with sexuality in general. There are insecurities. It's a taboo in so many houses. And, it's a strong topic to face for a lot of people. Sure. So that was like a wake-up call. And I decided, just let it be for a while. And I just, after that, I moved to Spain. So I kind of left my friends and started a new life in Spain. Not because of it. Because of a different reason. But I started over my life. I was very young. I was in a different city. I didn't know anyone. So, I wasn't questioning much about it. I was just, open and let's see how it goes. So if I think about myself, it was like I had all these different tries to have non-monogamous relationship with so many people and always fail. I don't know why. Maybe it's the people that I fall in love with. I don't know. So then I started my first serious relationship with a girl when I came to Barcelona, because, there is a lot of much more going on in the gay community and the LGBT community. And I learned a lot about different ways of loving other people and different sexual orientations and all these questions, and new information was coming.
So you moved to Barcelona and you kind of started over, I guess, a little bit. You started, a new life in a new city in another continent, and you started dating a woman, and your first serious relationship. How did that look like in the beginning? Were you did you bring up non-monogamy to her, or was it something that you just didn't really talk about?
Yeah, where she was like very open-minded. She was like a little bit older than me, like a couple of years older, and she's been in the community for longer than me, and she had all these ideas as well on how non-monogamy should be, at least. So when we started dating, it was set up as not being monogamist at all.
Mm-hmm.
So when we started dating, it was open. And in my head, just being open and being non-monogamous, it was a synonym of being more free, like being more open, so you have more freedom. And eventually I found out over the years that it's, if not the complete opposite, it's very close to that, because you have like all this, it's like the bigger the responsibility, the bigger the freedom you have, much more responsibility you have. So when you open, I was like, if we're open, we don't need to have any rules. We don't need to have anything. You can do whatever, I can do whatever. And then, we figured it out over the course of the relationship. And that was a huge mistake to think that, because when you have an open relationship, I think that you have much more rules than in a monogamous traditional relationship, because you know how that works. Mm-hmm. You know that I'm with you, you're with me, you shouldn't kiss anyone, I shouldn't kiss anyone, you don't hit with, you don't flirt with other people, I don't, you belong to me, Yeah. So it's like
there's a lot of rules. Yeah, there's a lot of rules that are just standard with a monogamous relationship. Implied rules. Whereas a non-monogamous relationship, you have to define what your relationship's going to look like.
Yes, exactly.
So you said that you wanted to go down the path of no rules at all, just completely wide open. And did that work at all, or did it immediately cause some issues? And maybe what were some of the issues that came up?
Yeah, it got some issues. So she came back to me and proposed to close the relationship. And I said no, because I didn't want to. But I probably, I was also not ready to commit like 100% to their relationship itself. So I'm cool if we have this intimacy together, but I don't want to go that far. At least that was my mindset at the moment.
What was there something that caused her to want to do that? Was there like an incident or an issue that came up that she was like, okay, no, I'm ready I don't want to do this anymore?
Yeah, I fucked a guy, and I was maybe way too explicit about his cock, so she felt really uncomfortable. and she decided that we weren't ready. So one thing, because you have so many different ways to be in an open relationship, or in a non-monogamous relationship, and I think that with the person you're with, it's going to always be different, at least for me. But maybe because I'm just very flexible in sexuality in general. But it's not the same with someone. Maybe you swing with someone, and then with the other person you have a polyamory setting, and maybe you share other people, and then with maybe someone else you have a more threesome kind of thing going on, and then you don't fuck people separately. So it also depends on the people you're with and how that should be agreed in the relationship. So I also think that it's, when you start a relationship with someone in general, you don't start maybe monogamous, or maybe you're not fucking anyone else at the moment, but sometimes you do. You have like this, numbers that you call time to time, a friends with benefits or kind of thing. Yep. So you meet someone, you like that other person, and in the beginning it's not like, hi, I like you, I want you to be mine, like just mine, and that's it. You grow into it until, as the relationship grows stronger. So in my opinion, or at least the thing that I feel more comfortable about it, I think what it works for me is that maybe you're good to remain open, let's say at the beginning, like not strings attached about it until I want to be with that person, or maybe that's your primary or something like that. And there are emotions involved, and you're open to talk about your feelings and what do you want and what does the other person want. And I think it's there is a period of time where maybe it's good for the relationship to close it for a while. So at least for me, that you become more connected to that person, and you get to know each other, and then you're more intimate to each other, and so you are confident enough that you want to be with that person, and that person wants to be with you, and the other person is also confident enough that they want to be with you. So maybe to create that safety ground, that intimacy in the relationship is good sometimes to pass this period of being with other person, just to not hurt any feelings, or just until you're able to communicate what your needs and wants are and desires. And it's not easy.
No. And so did you ultimately decide to agree to closing the relationship with her to give that a try, or did you wind up ending it?
No, that relationship ended because I didn't want it to close the relationship, and she needed that at the moment. Yeah. And then I started a relationship with a guy, and that went serious, and we moved together. And so at this point, I was also asking about my sexuality do I like girls or do I like boys, and how is it different when you do it with someone, and how is it, what's the energy that goes, and how's like something that is more masculine, aggressive, or something more passive and feminine and soft. And so I was like in that area asking myself how to navigate that difference, because at that moment in my life, I thought that I was never going to be able to be in a long-term relationship, because I was always going to need the other gender.
Okay. Yeah.
I can be with a guy, and for a while it would be okay to be with a guy, because I want to have this male, let's say in general, like male sex. But at a certain point, after a while, I would start desiring women, and then so I just wanted to be with women. And then I started in a relationship with a woman, and then for a little while it would be okay, and after a certain period of time it would be like, I want to cock again, and then I want pussy. And then so in my mind I was like, okay, maybe I can be with this guy that I really love and I really like, and he can be my only guy, but I can be with other girls. Like have my primary relationship with a gender specifically, and then have sexual casual relationships with the other gender, in this case, females.
And was he okay with that?
Yes. And we also talk about, sharing a little bit, like bringing all the girls to the relationship. He was very open about it. So okay, so it looks like I'm always fucking it up.
They're all learning experiences.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So we decided that was a good deal for us. Like, okay, I can be with you, and you will be my only cock, and then I'll be with, all the ladies, and maybe we can share some of them. So.
And how did that go?
How did that go? So I ended up in some type of an orgy one night. He was out of town, and I met this girls, and we ended up all playing together very late in the night. We ended up all playing together, and we were a little bit drunk maybe, and I went home. And the next day, I woke up, and I remember my pussy hurt, like hurt. It hurt. Yeah. So I was like, okay, what's going on? And I called one of my friends that was with me in the same orgy, and I said, like, dude, I have this thing on my pussy. I don't know. Do you know any of the other girls? Do we do it properly? Do you know if we might, fuck it up with any STD? No.
Yeah, STD.
STD, yeah. So I was like panicking, and I called my boyfriend and I said that, like, look, this happened last night. I'm really scared. I don't know what's going on. I'm seeing something that is like not right. I don't know what it is. And he was like, well, okay, calm down. He was coming back from work the following Monday, and he said, like, well, calm down, no worries. We'll go to the doctor. So I'm texting my friend, like, yeah, well, I'm a little bit calmer. Calm.
Uh-huh.
Calmer. Yeah, I'm calmer now. And she said, like, I don't think that you should be worried about it. She was fist fucking you, so she probably hurt you a little bit. And I was like, she was what? Yeah, she was fist fucking you. And I was like, oh my God. I didn't knew that was going on during the play situation. I was, she just, in my defense, I'm just gonna say that she was very small and her hands were very small. So after I talked with my boyfriend about it, he was like, "Yeah, okay, maybe we should, think about this a little bit, take things slower." So I said, "Yeah, okay, no problem. If the opportunity come up and we can, have sex or play with another girl, that would be great. But it's not like we're going to actively look for it."
Yeah. And so you were just sore, right? From the day you just needed to to Is that correct?
Yes, nothing happened.
Maybe her hands weren't that small.
I know.
Yeah, well, maybe not. It was good that my friend was there to tell me what happened. I didn't notice. I don't think she was that big. So, yeah, we decided to take things slower. And then the relationship ended. He passed away. I was very young. We were, living together, and we were deciding to get married soon. And, we just adopted, 2 small baby cats, and we were like very settled down in our lives together. And he passed away. So I didn't question much after that.
Yeah, I mean, that's an incredibly hard thing to go through. So sorry that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah. It was a lot of learning. It was a very difficult situation, but it was also very beautiful to learn from it and grow stronger from it. And one of my best friends, she was really close to me during the entire grieving period. And we fell in love shortly after that. So it was very confusing for me falling in love with my best friend at the same time that I was grieving my recent boyfriend. Mm-hmm. It was very confusing because it's not that I miss him a little bit, and not a little bit less. It just, it opens the emotions much stronger to be feeling like all these beautiful things about falling in love, and then all these painful feelings of grieving.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, okay. So she's my wife now. That's my long-term wife, monogamous wife.
And this all happened when you were like 23, correct? Around that age? Yeah.
23 and 23 when he passed away. And 23. So me and my wife, we fell in love, and because it was so confusing in the beginning to differentiate with this, painful feelings and beautiful feelings all together, and it was so intense that I was like, I cannot promise you anything. I don't know. I don't know if I'm falling in love like for real and all these feelings are real, or if I'm just confused about what's going on in me, like being, feeling alone and sad and all this. It was so confusing. So I was like, I cannot promise you anything. I cannot promise you. I cannot commit right now on what was going on. So I was like, I don't know if this is part of my grieving, and then when I feel better, I'm just gonna want to fuck as much people as possible, to feel better. You know, I didn't know what was going on. It never happened to me before, so I was like, I cannot commit to it, and eventually that never happened. For a couple of years. We fell in love. That was like super amazing love. And I was her first serious relationship. So there was a lot of discovery there from my partner's side in how relationships are supposed to be. I had much more experience sexually and in different relationships with other people, and, like being so premature and breakups and things. So, and she never had before. So she didn't know how her relationship self would be. Like, what do I want in a relationship? So we were just discovering that while was happening,
Right.
But she was my friend before, so she really knew how I was, because I was never like, I'm not sharing how I am, like this part where you think, like, I tell people that I like a lot of different people, that I'm bisexual, that I like doing this and that. So I was always very open about it, and she knew everything. So I was like, okay, if you like me in my head, it was, you're going to accept it. You love me for who I am, and you accept that part of me that I like also other boys, and that after a while I have this need to explore my sexuality with other people and connect intimately with other people. That because I told you about it. So eventually she found out that that's not something that she wanted. We never actually did anything. I never did anything because we were so much in love that we cannot take, our hands from each other. I didn't want to fuck anyone else. We were fucking like 3 times a day. It was amazing. So I didn't have that question in my head. I mean, if you don't want to fuck other people right now, it's fine. I just want to fuck you over and over and over until I'm sick of it. So it wasn't a question in the beginning. And then she said, like, I don't ever want to fuck anyone else than you. And that was like, okay, you want to share? And like, no. Like, do you want to share a guy? And I was like, no, I don't like men. And I was like, okay, maybe you want to share a girl. Like, no, I don't want to touch any other girl or than you. And I was like, okay, is it okay if I do it? Maybe you want to watch.
Was this before you got married, or was this after you got married?
We got married very fast. I don't remember exactly. Like, our relationship didn't change much before.
Right. So around that same time, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like oh, now we're getting married, and this is this huge thing, and our relationship is in a different level. So we got married because we needed to fix some things here. And it was urgent to do it that way, but it wasn't like, oh, now we really need to think about it because we're getting married.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So for a while I said, okay, I can accept these terms. I don't mind not fucking other people for now. And in my mind, I was hoping that she would get more comfortable and confident and all the things that, make you feel secure in your relationship. And in my head, I was thinking, okay, maybe you're just afraid. Maybe you have these jealousy issues that you never knew about because you were never in a relationship before. So I remain my hopes. And maybe in the near future, we can discuss it again. Over the sexual and intimate relationship between us, in the beginning, she had very differentiated sides to how she expressed her sexuality. Like, sometimes she was very masculine and sometimes she was very feminine. And I said, like, okay, this is perfect because I have 2 in 1, like I can have this part of exploring with a very feminine sex, and then we can have like a very masculine sex. So I said, like, when I'm tired of one, I can go to the other. But then I was like, wait, what was going on here? So she started her personal journey about her gender identity, that how she perceived herself. So there's, I think, there's this thing about sex that makes you go to different places in your being, like who you are and how you relate to it, and it opened like places in your mind, in your body. And I think the more intimate, it's not necessarily like this for everyone, of course, but at least for me and for what I think for her too, when you have more intimacy with someone, you are open to discover more deep things in you and with the other person. So during that journey, there was a point where I said, like, wait a minute. Are you like, that sometimes you're like a very masculine, and that started a conversation where she brought that up, all these questions that she always had about how she perceived herself and her body. Mm-hmm. And that started her journey to question herself, how I perceive myself. She always felt more like a guy in a woman's body. And that was something very strong very difficult to navigate in our relationship and especially in sex too. So just for the sake of the audience and all the LGBT community and the alternative gender, I'm just referring to her because she's not out in the open for most of the family and people. So, and she's not transitioning or into a man. So everyone knows her as her. It's just something that it opened in our intimacy and our inside our house, and with very, very selective people in her life.
Sure. And so now she identifies as gender non-binary, correct?
Yeah. It's that will be more accurate. Like, this is a journey. It's not like, oh, this is who I am and that's it. It's it's a process to discover yourself and
definitely.
figure it out. So let's say that would be more accurate, but 10 years ago, that wasn't a very commonly known word, and being poly either. And, so it's the more information you have, the more that you are able to identify with different sexual orientations, preferences, identities. It's like also, there's so much information right now that we didn't used to have. Like when I was growing up, all this like wasn't a thing,
Right.
Like you have gay people, straight people, and that was like about it, and that's and for so many people that's not even the reality. So yeah, it's a journey of discovery, and because of that process of my partner, that created a lot of insecurity in our relationship, because she knew that I also like other genders, and she would feel very insecure about the fact that I wouldn't be satisfied because of the fact that she wasn't either of them.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
At the beginning, it was super fun to be both of them. So I was like, hey, you're my perfect match, like I can be with one part and then I can be with the other part. And then, but then during that journey, it turned into the complete opposite. Like I can't be either of them.
Right.
So now you will be unsatisfied because you do have sexual drives and desires for different things. So opening the relationship was out of the question because all of this was going on, and I didn't want to create more insecurities that was needed. So we focused on, growing from there and figuring out how we relate and how, the sex evolves and the play evolves. And
so for you, did it impact your ability to be attracted to her because she went from being sort of both to being neither, or was it largely something that she was perceiving that wasn't really true on your side?
No, I don't think it affected my attraction at all. Like we always have really good sex. It didn't affect that. How I perceived her, it wasn't negative at all. If anything, it was like more interesting because what I think that affected our relationship in a way was after a while, the insecurity and all the issues about it, not specifically in sex, but it started like a little bit, how do you say when you waste or
like little by little, like creeping into your relationship, or like something like that.
Yeah, like creeping. Yeah. So we decided to take a break for a while. At this point, we were living in Mexico for a while, and I decided to come back to Argentina after so many years. And so we decided to take a break to see how we feel about it. Like, because all this started all together in our relationship, all this journey started together. So I think in our relationship it was necessary to take a break and reinforce in ourselves what we want, how we are, what do we need, and how do we feel about it individually. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to lie, when we separated, and we were separated for over a year, it was very difficult emotionally, but for me, sexually, I was feeling like so much need to reconnect with other people, to be like for so long in a monogamous relationship, and after my previous partner death and everything, I was like, I wanna, reconnect with people. I wanna have sex with other people, figuring out how do I feel like I'm grown up now. I'm much more older now, and your sexuality changed over time, all the time. So how do you feel about it, and what do you want, and what things do you like? So that was a very nice break. It was very necessary, not just for me, just for sex, but also as people, as individuals. It was very necessary to figure some things out. And we came back stronger, more secure of each other. And for a while, I completely forgot about this question of monogamy or not monogamy, or, swinging or threesomes or gender. It was like I was so into my relationship that I didn't question myself if I wanted something different. It was like a previous me, let's say.
And that's when you got back together, right?
Yes.
And you both moved back to Spain at that point?
Yeah. We moved back to Spain, and we came back together, and it's I kind of like left it out of the question in our relationship, because I'm pansexual and I like having intimate relationship with other people, and because I don't think that affect my primary relationship with my wife, I always felt that I needed to sacrifice a part of me to not creating different relationships and bonding with other people. It was like I needed to take that away from me because I love her so much. Like, you don't choose who you fall in love. Like, this kind of happened. We were friends for so long. We had so much love to each other. So in my head, it was something more like, I can't sacrifice fucking other people. Like, all that people, I don't care as much as you do. So if that's the price that I have to pay to be with you, I don't care. And that, after a while, that's how it started my question: is this just fucking other people, or is it part of my identity? Like, how I like to relate with other people, how I connect with other people. Because being non-monogamous is not just about fucking. It's just, I'm playing with other people. It also affects how you relate and how you connect, and your social connections in general, and the people you make friends with, and so it's a wide spectrum of things. But I can just not play with other people in order to be with you. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And during this years, it was just like a sexual desire. And I realized that that's part of who I am, and how it's not just me being horny and I just want to fuck with someone.
So, and that's within the last year, you said? Yeah. So recently.
And so you are now currently in a place where she is very, very monogamous and doesn't want anything to do with opening a relationship, and you've come to the realization that having multiple relationships is part of who you are. How have the discussions gone in terms of trying to reconcile those two? Are you hoping to find a middle ground, or is one person going to have to pay the price of entry for that? Yeah.
That's a really good question. So because our background and some painful things that happened and we did to each other, and the extra ingredient about her personal journey with her identity, and what happened to me before, and all the pain, it caused a lot of pain and a lot of work for us to work in our relationship. And it come to a point where me desiring to be non-monogamy, it became a threat to our safety, like our partnership.
Right.
And at a certain point, when it became a taboo, like we don't talk about it, I can just not deal with it, not do it. I can sacrifice it. I don't care. We can just, I want to be with you. I don't care. So it was like very, very, it was very varied in our relationship. And during the last year, I started to not know, but more like remember that this is what I always wanted, and this is what I always was, and this is what I was always looking for. But being like that, just the fact to be like that, it created a threat to her. So I decided, after thinking about it a lot, I decided to bring it up again in the discussion. Like, this is what I want, and this is what I need. I cannot ignore it anymore. I have needs and desires and hopes, and I cannot maintain this deal anymore. And it was a very, very painful relationship, because that was our major disagreement, like, since ever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a major disagreement when you're in a relationship with someone, because that's like the base of it. Like, I want to be with you, you want to be with people. It's like so basic. We tried to navigate it, and we had that conversation recently. And I was hoping during all these years that at a certain point she will feel more comfortable with herself and more comfortable in our relationship, that she will be able to have a conversation about it and maybe find a middle ground where we can actually maybe, start sharing someone, like maybe just, a girl, or maybe she wanted to try it herself and I can just, wait and see how she feels. Or I was open to it, to say, okay, maybe we can start with this and that. And she came back to me and said, that's never going to happen. Like, that's never going to happen. This is who I am. I want to be in a monogamous relationship. I don't want to be with other people. I don't have the desire to be with other people. If you were expecting during all these years that sometimes at some point I changed my mind, you were wrong. But I'm in a better place to actually accept who you are and know that who you are is not to hurt me. This is just who you are.
So she acknowledged that she's accepted who you are, and you're learning to accept who she is too. Both of you are learning this about each other and coming to terms about it. About how she wants to be monogamous and that's not going to change, and how you want to be non-monogamous and how that's probably not going to change.
Yeah. In a way, I mean, I think I always knew and accepted who she was. I was just thinking that maybe sometime in the future there would be the chance that, just have a little innocent play or something at some point.
So even though she's not necessarily interested in playing with other people or introducing other people, is she starting to, it sounds maybe I misinterpreted, but like she's starting to open to the idea of maybe you exploring it on your own without her?
No, that's not on the table at all. I think it will reopen previous wounds, and I don't think she. It's not that I think. I know that she's not up to it.
Right.
So it's very complicated because it's something so essential, but at the same time, there is much more in a relationship than just, being monogamous or not monogamous. So it's very confusing because you have all this love and we are like this amazing team together and we are like great partners and we have like the same goals and we live together and everything is so, there's a lot of respect and intimacy and there are all these ingredients that override the fact of being to be or not to be monogamous,
Right.
But it's always there anyway,
Right.
At least for me, we are in a place right now when we are facing the fact that if this is part of who we are and how we identify ourselves in an emotional and sexual way, we are facing the fact that at a certain point we will need to separate. I don't think that's happening anytime soon, but like she accepting who she is in that way and me accepting that this is part of who I am and how I want my relationships to be as well and my connections with other people as well. I was also saying, like, I remember one of your guests also mentioned something about when you're older, it's more difficult to make new friends and connect with people. And I think it's also a thing when you are in a monogamous relationship that you tend to shut down a little bit from your social connections, or either you just hang out with like other marriages, or if you have kids, you don't have kids. And I think that playing and flirting with people, it's a really nice way to get to know other people and maybe have I'm looking for synonyms, but because of the English, it's very difficult for me to express.
Have a connection.
Yeah, like have a connection, like.
It's important to, especially as you get older, to meet other people and make connections and make friends. And almost you see non-monogamy as kind of a way to do that because you'd meet people who you can flirt with and hang out with, and that is kind of missing from your life at the moment.
Yes, that's correct. So it's a little bit weird to be having this conversation with you guys at this moment because we're in this place where it's an open conversation in my relationship too, and we don't really know where it will go and what's going to be stronger. Like, and as I said before, it's not just because I think that a lot of people mistake the fact of non-monogamy and all this spectrum of possibilities, like just as a sex drive. What your goal is to have sex with other people, and it's not at all. It's much more than that. And if you consider it as part of who you are and how you relate to people in a more deep, profound way, it will, of course, create a threshold in our relationship.
I think, it was amazing that you were willing to talk about some of these things that are, it's not like you've worked through them and you're on the other side and you figured out a solution, but you're in the middle of it and you were willing to share that with us in a very thoughtful way. And I think we're both very curious about where you'll end up. And I think it sounds like you both now have the skills to have the conversations about it that maybe weren't there 6 years ago or 4 years ago or 3 years ago, and that you're now navigating it in a way that it sounds like you both understand that it may not work out for you to be together, but that you're at least having that conversation. I think that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that there's going to be a lot of people out there that can relate. So I'm sure there are many relationships out there where one person is more monogamous minded and the other person is not. And that is something that I know a lot of people have to navigate in their relationships. So even though there is no one right answer, right? So like you said, kind of whichever part of you both ends up being stronger is the part that will determine whether you stay together or eventually separate. And right now you don't know what that is, but that's part of the learning process. That's part of being human. And I think that's incredibly vulnerable of you to open up and share your whole story. So both of us thank you for sharing everything. And I hope a lot of listeners find this fascinating and helpful too, and understand that, there's a lot of people out there just trying to do the best they can and figure things out.
Yeah, I think that, as you said, there's not a right answer, and all relationships are different, from your friends, your boyfriends, your sex partners, your wife and husband, and all the relationships are different. And it's when there is love and connection with someone, it's good to give it a try, as I said earlier, I think it's also important to maybe at certain points closing the relationship if it needs to review where you are and what you are and what you need and what do you desire. And it was also important to open it. I mean, like for us, we needed to take a break because opening it up, it wasn't a possibility. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to lie, it was like super, all these years, it was super difficult for me to feel that I was sacrificing this part of me to be with this person. But it really worth it. So I think that's the main idea behind it. You don't know where it's going to go. So you have to give it a try anyway.
No, and I think, I think it's important to remember too that if you do wind up separating again, that you two have already proven that separating for you doesn't mean the end, right? And that you're able to come back together, and that I think that's something that's a powerful thing to have seen happen and know that it could definitely happen again in the future.
Yeah, and along that same lines, that even if you do separate for a short time, like Finn said, or for good, whatever, or not at all, it doesn't mean that your relationship was a failure or that anyone's relationship was a failure. I think relationships, come and go in your life, and some people are together for a very long time and other people are people who have more short-term relationships. And I think, and then everything in between. So I think it's a lot of really helpful and interesting information.
Yeah.
Well, and so I guess, again, thank you for sharing everything with us. And we're super grateful that you reached out, and we wish both of you the best. And maybe we will do a follow-up show in a year or two and see where things are.
And I guess something we didn't cover at the beginning of this, but like you talked this over with your wife. She knows you're doing this podcast interview and she's okay with talking about it. So I just want to make sure that that's all above board and she knows about this.
Yes. That we talked about it before the official interview. So I told her about it because connecting and listening to other people like-minded, because we have a very vanilla life in general. We don't belong to any specific community at all. We're just regular people. People don't talk about it. So she also understands that me reaching out and having this conversation with you guys and talking about it, it's also important to, maybe you don't need to do sexually anything, but just connecting with other people that is just really nice to your soul. She was invited to be in the interview. She's more of an introvert person, so she decided not to be. She's fine with it, but it was her choice not to be here.
Yeah.
Well, we wanted to say thank you to her for giving you the space to share, and we know that that's probably not super easy to do. So thank you to her.
Yeah.
And thank you to you for that. And
Before we
Thank you,
leave,
guys.
yes, is there anything else that we missed that you wanted to share?
I don't think so. I think no, I don't think so. I have I have like a lot of stories.
No.
I think we cover all the main issues, like all the main situations. I just wanna invite people. Like I think that what I would like to say is to invite people to question themselves and not settle down with traditional or just what society gives you, like how things should be and you should be and how you should be and how you should behave. I think that during this journey myself and with my wife together, what was so amazing about it was the flexibility and openness to question and reinvent ourselves in that in different scenarios and situations. So I think flexibility and openness is very important to your growth as a person in general.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect place to
end it. Yeah.
End it. So thank you again, and
thank you guys. It was amazing talking to you and meeting you, and I look forward to talk to you again.
Absolutely. Well, have a wonderful night, and we will be in touch for sure.
Yes. Thank you again.
Thank you.
So sorry about that intro, folks. We've definitely gotten our shit together, and we are now sober.
No. But sorry that the intro was very rambly. We'll try to make this outro short. Hope everyone enjoyed the interview with Mila. We loved talking to her, and we really thank her for sharing the story. I know it wasn't necessarily easy for her, and we really loved talking and hearing everything.
Yes. And...
yes.
You said keep it short. Boom, short. No, it was amazing, and she's amazing, and we've exchanged some emails with her the last week or so. And she's an amazing person, and we wanted to say thank you to her and her partner for letting us share it.
Yeah, and one point I just wanted to make too, like she said at the end that it's really awesome for her to make connections and just talk to people who are open-minded, and that was part of why she wanted to share her story. So I just really appreciate that, because we find that that's very true for us too, and for connecting with people through this podcast and also off the podcast, but just people who are open-minded and willing to chat about it all can make a real difference.
Yes.
Anyway.
We're happy to be those people for anybody, whether you want to record it or not.
Definitely.
In the meantime, in 1 week from right now,
whoop, whoop,
we are going to throw back to a time we went to Desire. And then Tristan Taramino joined us on our balcony. And she told us some shit that she's never told anyone before.
I know, and we get to release it on the 26th of December, which is also
someone's birthday. So, we will see everybody in a week on Emma's birthday. And it's going to be an awesome episode with Tristan. She's awesome. We're awesome. We're not drunk. And we will see you in a week.
Bye, everyone. Hey, wait. Please look us up. Email us. Our website is normalizingnonmonogamy.com. You can also find us.
You said our email address is normalizing.
Our website is normalizingnonmonogamy.com, where you can email us there. Anyway, you can also find us on Twitter or Cassidy.
Good night, everybody.
Screen name.
It was wonderful talking.
And podcast. Okay. Good night, everyone.
See you in a week. Well, actually, no. We'll see you on December 25th.
Oh, God. No.
With the Bed Hoppers over on their channel, Bed Hoppers UK. Yeah, look them up. It's a wonderful podcast. We had a great, fun time chatting with them. That's why Emma's not sober right now.
Excuse me.
We'll see you in 6 days. Go listen to the Bed Hoppers.
On Christmas. Bye, everyone.
Pre-Boxing Day. We decided it's pre-Boxing Day, not Christmas.
Okay, sorry. Pre-Boxing Day. You're right.
Okay. Now go.
Because we got to include not everyone celebrates Christmas.
That's right. Or Boxing Day. But.
Oh, that's true.
Should we go?
Yeah.
Good night.